Hello, my name is Theresa Truscott and I'm a coach and trainer based in the UK. Today I'm going to talk to you about overcoming your fears. And the best way I can do that is to describe to you a personal experience I had of overcoming a fear of heights. Now, I had always wanted to learn to ski, and I met a group of friends through playing softball in Hyde Park after work, and they were great fun. We used to have such a laugh. There was lots of teasing and joking that went on, so I bonded well with them. And when they said they were going skiing the following year, I naturally said, "Oh, yes, please, I'd love to come." So we went off. We arranged the trip, and we went off, and I was full of excitement. I'd never done anything like that before, and it was, as I said, something I'd always wanted to do. And we got there, and they suggested to me that I went to ski school because all of them were quite experienced skiers, and I'd never been on skis before. So I booked myself into ski school, and they walked me down and helped me get the higher skis and the boots and everything. And then they went off to enjoy themselves on the slopes, and I went along to ski school. And it was fine, except that all the other people in ski school were Austrian or German. Now, I had done German as a subject at school, but I wasn't very good at it. In fact, I failed the exam. So my level of German wasn't up to the subtleties that were needed for learning to ski. Fortunately, the instructor had some English, so he was able to describe some things. So we go onto the ski slope, and it was lovely. It was a very gentle slope, and it was down in the village amongst all the beautiful houses. It was a very picturesque village. The church looked like one of those from pictures of on calendars or on chocolate box. It had a beautiful spire and all the snow with the icicles hanging down from it. It was just wonderful, and I was so enjoying my experience there that it didn't matter, that I was falling over in the snow and not quite getting things right. And I gradually built some confidence up on the skis during the week. And on these lower slopes, they have what they call a drag lift or a pommel lift that takes you from the bottom of the slope up a very gentle slope, it must be said, to the top, where you can turn around and come back down, ski back down. And I'd got used to that. It was kind of a circular disc that was on a pole that had a bit of a spring to it, so you could tuck it between your legs, and you'd be dragged up the slope very gently. You had to keep your skis straight, otherwise you ended up falling over. But you got up to the top and went down, so nothing frightening. And then on the Thursday, they said, "Right, you're going to have a race." And I thought, "Oh dear, let's see how that goes." And needless to say, I wasn't the fastest, but I managed it. And then they said, "Right, tomorrow we're going up to the top of the mountain." And my heart sank. And I don't know whether you've ever had that feeling where your whole stomach seems to drop. you don't know what to do. It seems to have disappeared. And that was the feeling I had. And I was really, really nervous about going up to the top of the mountain. First of all, I had only been up in one of the enclosed cable cars. So I was fine with that, and I hadn't gone up to ski down. I'd gone up on the cable car and I'd come back down, and I'd looked at the view, and it was beautiful, and that was fine, and I'd had my hot chocolate and enjoyed myself. But going up knowing I was going to ski down was a totally different matter. And the first hurdle was we didn't go up in the enclosed thing. We went up on, it's basically a seat with a bar that comes down, a bit like going on a ride in a roller coaster. And you've got to hold on to your ski poles. You've got your skis on your feet, and they're dangling down, nothing underneath them. And you're skimming over the treetops, and you're going over the other people skiing underneath you. And yeah, it's quite fun looking down at these little ants going underneath you on skis. But then realising that you could eventually drop if something happened, and sometimes they actually had to stop the thing because somebody had fallen over at the end and they needed to get them up and off. So you're swinging there thinking, how long is this going to be? And of course the tension's building all the time and building up here in my head. So we get to the top, and my friends had said to me, well, remember, it doesn't stop when you get there. You just, the bar comes up and you just push yourself off, and then you must keep your skis straight. So all of this is going through my mind as I'm getting off the chairlift. And we get to the end, and I did it without falling over as well. I managed to do it. And then the instructor, he gathered us all together and he said, okay, now we're going to go down the slope over there, but the first part, what it does is it goes down quite steeply and then turns the corner, and I want you to meet me at that corner, and then we will go down the rest of the way together. And all I could see was the snow here, blue sky. I couldn't see anything beyond that, and people were just going over and disappearing, and I had no clue whether we were going straight or turning or whatever, and my fear of heights kicked in big time. I was shaking. I really didn't want to do it, but I knew I couldn't get out of it. I knew I had to do it and face my fear. So I gingerly went. Fortunately, I was not the first person to go. So I followed one of my fellow students over this lip and down, and it seemed so steep to me. I've been back in subsequent years, and it's a doddle once you know what you're doing. It really is easy, but going over that lip, it was just, oh. And I went round and I managed to stop, and that was a big thing, because if I hadn't, it was over the side, and that really made me nervous. Anyway, we went down, from there we went down a straight track, but it was quite narrow. And then we got to an area which opened up into a very nice wide slope, and all the others managed to go off elegantly, it seemed to me anyway, across the ski slope, going down quite happily all the way down to the bottom to the village. And there was I going inch by inch, and I'd get to one side and I couldn't turn. I was too scared to turn. So the instructor stayed with me and talked me down. Basically, he talked me in and said, no, come on, you can go around that corner. And then, and I'd be stopping each side, and he'd go, no, don't stop, go round. And eventually we got down to the next station for the ski lift. And I was so exhausted by then, and I think he was so fed up. He said, okay, yeah, you can, if you want to, you can go down in the ski lift. And I said, thank you very much. Yes, I'll do that. So I went down in the ski lift and I handed back my skis because I'd finished for the week, and I started to walk back to our accommodation. And as I'm walking back, I'm thinking, I'm never doing that again. No, I'm never, I'm not skiing ever again. And I walked back through the village, and there's the beautiful church, and I thought, oh, isn't that lovely? And I was thinking back to a couple of the nights where we'd been out and the après ski and had fun with my friends. And I thought about being actually at the top of the mountain and looking out at the vista from the cafe and how beautiful that was. And I thought, I'm going to miss that. And if I never do skiing again, okay, yeah, I suppose I could go up. But that I've never given up on anything. Why am I giving up on this? And so I thought about it. And by the time I got back to our accommodation, I had got a plan in place. I had decided that I would do skiing lessons back in the UK where I could understand what the instructor was saying. Believe me, it's not quite the same on a dry ski slope. That's more terrifying than going on snow. But I did it, and I went back subsequent years with my friends, and I had some wonderful holidays, and I would have missed those. I was always a nervous skier. It didn't change. I was nervous, but I enjoyed it, and I enjoyed the experience and being with my friends and the places that I'd been. And so I think the key there from that story is always thinking about where you want to be, what it is you want to achieve, what you're getting out of it, and why it's important to you. Because that is the key to overcoming the fear. If you don't understand that, and you don't understand why you're doing it, then there's no point doing it. If you're not getting anything out of it, then no, don't do it. However, there may be experiences that you're stopping yourself from doing. And it's really important also for your self-esteem to think about, well, if I challenge myself to do this, who will I become? What will I learn from it? And I must say, I learned a lot from it. I learned a lot about myself from the whole thing. And the other aspect of it was, yes, I could look at that vista where I couldn't see the road, and that was scary. And that is often how we feel when we first try to do something that feels scary. It could be going to make a sales call or speaking in public, any of those things. But that is the scary view, and unless we even tentatively go and have a look over the parapet, over that hump, we'll never know whether we can do it or not, and we'll never know what joy we may be preventing ourselves from having. So first of all, don't necessarily look beyond that view. The important thing is to look at where you are and look at the ground where you're going. So rather than looking at the bit where you think you might drop off, look at the bit in front of you, the path in front of you, and take the small steps. And each small step improves your confidence. And that's what I found. I did actually end up doing part of a black run eventually. And they're the hardest. Okay, it was a lower part, but it was still part of a black run, and that was a big thing for me. So if you have a fear of doing something, it may be having to speak in front of other people, or it may be a fear of failure. It doesn't matter, just keep going, just take that first step, get over that hump, and look at the road ahead. Watch where you're going and do it carefully and cautiously, and build your confidence until you can do it more quickly if you repeat it as well. And that was the point, repeating it, keeping going, adding to the learning. Then you don't know what you can achieve. Thank you.